Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Caesar's Palace for 12 rounds of boxing. In the red corner, from Los Angeles, California, wearing the red trunks with the gold trim, weighing in at 125 pounds, the lightweight champion of the world, Danny Little Red Lopez. Well, Bill, our winners get a home theater receiver. That's right. Experience the full potential of high-definition video with this 72-channel digital home theater receiver from Yamaha. But wait, that's not all. They also get a 5.1-channel surround sound system from Mirage. With 5 palm-sized speakers and a compact subwoofer cube, the MX 5.1 brings you huge immersive sound with Mirage's omnipolar technology. All from the Spiegel catalog, Chicago, Illinois, 60609. And they're taking closer order as down the stretch they come. Mr. Hot Stuff has 3 lengths to make up with chocolate candy last. On the rail, take the points behind that gallant son with chocolate candy gaining on the outside. In the lead is Pioneer of the Nile being tackled by chocolate candy. They're neck and neck as they come to the wire. And Pioneer of the Nile holds off chocolate candy and wins the Santa Anita Derby. And now, on your feet, time to greet holder of 14 NBA titles, your home team, your Los Angeles Lakers. Number 3 at 6'8", 5th year out of UCLA, playing forward, Trevor Ariza. Starting at center, number 17 at 7 feet, 4th year out of St. Andrews High School, Andrew Bynum. And at guard, number 24, 6'6", 13th season out of Loyal Marion High School, Kobe Bryant.
Funeral's full of shit. I wish I could just have a thick-ass funeral, like I'm dead, and make an announcement. Don't be dead for real. Say Bernie Mac died last night. Just have a bullshit funeral. I'll be laying in the coffin like I'm dead, so I can just see the no-good motherfucker to come to my funeral. When a motherfucker come past my coffin I don't like, I just raise up and cuss his punk ass out. I'll be laying up there just like I'm dead. A motherfucker walk by I don't like, fuck you doing in my goddamn funeral? Get your punk ass out of here, bitch! Don't let him motherfucker walk past, owe me some money. I'm gonna grab his wrist. Oh, hell no, hell no. Funeral's full of shit.
Good morning. It's Friday, Fight Song Friday, November the 28th, and this is The True Conservative. Welcome to all the butchers, bakers, and candlestick makers out there. I'm Ron, your host, and the only true conservative in the United States today. So today, after the Serenity Prayer and the patriotic song of the day, we will have Varney and Company, motivation, meditation, and the collapse of parenting. All that and more when I get back. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I should not change, the courage to change the things I should, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. Thank you. Now the end of Maria and the beginning of Varney and Company.
Is going to be down this year from a year ago. And I would add to that, as a result, I think the growth of holiday sales will be about a 0.5 percentage point slower than it was in 2024. At long last, this lack of adequate jobs creation will begin to catch up with consumer spending.
Yeah, and part of that has been AI in the conversation. And yes, AI long term will generate new jobs that we haven't thought of or seen yet, but it takes a while for that to happen. So in the meantime, you're going to see a little job loss as that balance takes place.
Yeah, there's always an offset, right, especially in a transition like AI. So looking forward to it. It's going to have its ups and downs, but I think we're going to see more ups.
Do you think, John, that this market melt up, just continues into the end of the year? Do you think that this, because of the AI revolution, is a different situation than we've really seen before? Because cyclically, everything would indicate that we should be due for a good pullback, if not correction. We get it, and then somehow the markets seem to jump right back up.
I would not be shocked if we have a correction maybe at some point in 2026, especially, oddly enough, 2026. Some people are very positive. It's going to be a strong year for the economy. But even though we've had a very slow pace of hiring activity, we still have a relatively low unemployment rate, historically speaking.
Right.
It won't happen right away. But if the economy grows by 3 to 4%, by the second half of 2026, we should be running into some tightness in the labor market that would contribute to inflationary pressures. And lo and behold, later in the second half, we're talking about rate hikes, where the Fed maybe finally has to go ahead.
I'm going to stop you there. That is a contrarian view. John Lonsky, Jonathan Madison, great to see you both this morning. Really appreciate it. Absolutely. Hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We appreciate you spending your morning with us. We're going to send it over to Lauren Simonetti in for Stuart. Lauren, take it away.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Black Friday, Jackie. Hope it was wonderful. Good morning, everybody. I'm Lauren Simonetti. I'm in for Stuart Varney today. He will be back on Monday. We start with this heartbreaking news. One of the National Guard troops attacked in Washington, D.C. has died. The other still fighting for his life. President Trump says the White House is now exploring a reverse migration plan. President Trump sending a new warning to Venezuela. He says we may be going after the cartels on land. To the markets, futures higher after being suspended earlier this morning. There was a glitch at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. The glitch was caused by overheating at one of its data centers. Stock indices, commodities, treasuries, foreign exchanges were all disrupted, but they seem to be back now. And you can see the market is higher on this final day of the shortened trading week. And on the show today, President Trump says he may slash the income tax, and it's all thanks to revenue from tariffs. And yes, today is Black Friday. The National Retail Federation expects overall holiday sales to surpass $1 trillion for the first time ever. We've got the CEO. That's in the 10 o'clock hour. It is Friday, November 28th, 2025.
And so Stuart Varney is taking the weekend off. Gee, go figure. Nonprofit news now. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little bit of motivation.
What do you do about the negative guy that's trying to bring you down? It's quite simple. Ignore and outwork every last one of them. You see, while you're over there watching me and talking about me, I'm working. I'm working hard. I'm taking things to the next level. You keep gossiping and I'll keep working. You keep talking smack and I'll keep working. You keep focusing on everything and everyone else and I'll keep working. And when you finally look around at where you are and where I'm at, you realize that you have nothing left to talk smack about. You will lose and I will win.
The best revenge is massive success. I'll show you.
You want to kill your haters? You want to shut them down? You want to kill the noise? Listen to me, nothing succeeds like success. Who cares what they say? Dominance. Who cares what they think? Dominance.
When you decide acting in your best interest, you're going to lose some friends. Everybody's not going to approve of you. There's some people that won't like you. Who do you think you are? You're arrogant. What do you think you can do? You're selfish.
When you hang around average people, all they're going to do is tell you what they can't do, and that's okay that they can't do it, but that has absolutely nothing to do with us. We can do whatever we believe we can do, and we don't need anybody's permission to do it but ours.
Stand up for your dream. Stand up for what you want in your life. You've got to talk to yourself day in and day out. You've got to say, yes, I can make it. The last chapter to my life has not been written yet. If you judge me now, you'll judge me prematurely. I haven't exposed all my stuff yet. I'm still in the process of transforming my life. I'm still in the process of becoming. Yes, yes.
It's your dream. Nobody's going to see it like you do it. It's your dream. Nobody's going to feel it like you feel it. It's your dream. Nobody's going to be as dedicated to it as you are. It's your dream, and they don't have to understand, and they don't have to like it, and they don't have to do it. It doesn't make a difference. It's your dream, and you, my friend, have been given the task to make it happen, and you can't let anything stop you from doing what you were called to do. I am great, and I don't owe anybody an apology. I am phenomenal, and I don't owe anybody an apology. I am going to do great things, and I don't owe anybody an apology. I was created to do great things, and I will no longer ask others for their permission. Kill the noise and dominate your space, your lane. I dare you to believe in yourself so much so that you don't need the affirmations of others. I dare you to believe in your uniqueness. I dare you to believe in you. I dare you to stand up for yourself. I dare you to dominate your space, your world, and to leave a legacy.
It doesn't matter how many times I fail. I'm going to courageously pursue it. I don't care what people say. I don't care what they think. This is something that I want that gives my life meaning and value.
You gotta work through it. You're gonna get up, you're gonna get dressed, you're gonna get out, and you're gonna do what you've been called to do. You're gonna be what you called to be. You're gonna have, and you're gonna prove to everybody that tried to break you, everybody that tried to stop you, everybody that tried to kill your dream, you're gonna prove all of them wrong.
And that was a little bit of motivation. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little bit of meditation. And that was a little bit of meditation. Back in a minute. Thank you. So here's an article in Real Clear Politics. She saved her life. 7-Eleven fired her. It's commentary by John R. Lott, Jr. Last week, 7-Eleven fired the 25-year-old after she used her gun to save her own life. Private companies have every right to set rules for employee behavior, but many corporate policies that require workers to remain passive and comply with criminals' demands rest on a deeply mistaken view of crime data. He threatened me, Dilliard told Fox 25 in Oklahoma City, and he said he was going to slice my head off, and that's when I tried to call the police. He started throwing things at me, came behind the counter. I tried to run off, but he grabbed his hands around my neck and pushed me out of the counter space, and that's when I pulled out my gun and I shot him. I had to choose between my job and my life, she said, and I will always choose my life because people depend on me. My kids need me here. She survived with wounds to her neck and hands, injuries that could have been far worse. Her attacker, 59-year-old Kenneth Thompson, already had an outstanding felony warrant for parole violation.
let's see, for more than 2 years, Dilliard worked the dangerous 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. shift alone. Despite those conditions, 7-Eleven insisted that she use only store items to defend herself. So there's your policy. So the issue here, I don't need to read any more of this about the details of it. The point is that we've been conditioned to believe that we can have our cake and eat it too, and that we should expect to do so. And as a matter of fact, demand that we be able to do so, and that's what this article is about. The writer is outraged that this lady didn't get to have her cake and eat it too. You don't. She knew what the policy was, and she decided to violate it. I think she made the right decision. I would have been tempted to do exactly the same thing. If I was in her position, because as she said, her life is more important than the store or its policies. But what she needs to do then is say, okay, I made the decision, I made the right decision, and move on. And the person who's writing the article needs to figure that out as well, and just say, fine, she made the right decision. Yes, she got terminated, and she violated store policy, and she was terminated. She made a decision. The store made their decision, and that's it. Time for her to move on and get another job. It's not like 7-Eleven type jobs are few and far between. I'm sure she can mitigate her damages, so to speak, and get a similar position somewhere else. But the point is, the left, the liberals in this country have poisoned our minds and it's very seductive to believe that we can have things that we can't have. There's times in life when we have to make choices. We have to decide one thing or the other. We can't have both. And this is one of those circumstances. She chose correctly. Be happy. Back in a minute. Thank you. About the 2 National Guard troops that were shot in Washington, D.C. Apparently, I think I jumped the gun the other day. I said that they had passed away, and apparently they were both in critical condition. One has now, apparently, the rumor is, passed away. But there's a lot of talk about it, and the people that you're hearing talking about it are getting it all wrong in terms of why that this is happening and the significance of this particular event. And one of them is that it's about certainty of knowledge and about free will. That's why the left hates law enforcement, because law enforcement is a demonstration of those two things. So what is it that the true conservative can do? One of the things, as I said before, is pray. Pray yourself, and then when you go to work and you're in the break area perhaps, and Sammy Socialist comes up and wants to give you the business about this, ask him, hey, why don't you pray with me for these individuals that got shot, that were victimized. And the other thing that you can do, of course, is have a so what attitude. Act with certainty of knowledge. Act and speak with certainty of knowledge. Demonstrate to everybody, particularly the socialists in your life, your free will. And if somebody claims to be offended by that, so what? Back in a minute. Thank you. Now, Varney and Company, and it's about extending the Obamacare subsidies.
Extending Obamacare subsidies that fueled the longest government shutdown in history may be necessary. Watch this.
You plan to extend those subsidies?
I'd rather not. Somebody said I want to extend them for 2 years. I don't want to extend them for 2 years. I'd rather not extend them at all.
What do you do with
And maybe some kind of an extension may be necessary to get something else done. because the Unaffordable Care Act has been a disaster. It's a disaster.
Congressman Greg Murphy, Republican.
Okay, so this is again typical of the left with their false dichotomy, and typical of the right to just fall into the basket, the false dichotomy basket here. You don't have to. You can look for, instead of saying either or, which is what the left wants you to do, either yes to Obamacare subsidies or no, none at all. What you can do is you think not too hot, not too cold, just right. One of the things that I would suggest is that they say, well, no, we're not going to go ahead and extend the Obamacare subsidies, but this is what we will do. It's called saying no, then negotiating. This is what we will do. And then you come up with your own type of a plan. I like the idea of tax credits. You tell the American people, we'll go ahead and we will give you an earned income tax credit. Matter of fact, I would be bold enough to say we will give you triple the earned income tax credit for every dollar you spend on health care. So that's a much better idea than allowing yourself to be trapped in a false dichotomy. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now from an account on Instagram called the Damien Fielder.
Let me tell you what's about to happen. Now that we've lost one National Guardsman and another one's fighting for his life after the ambush attack in Washington, D.C., you know what the left is going to do? Instead of saying, yes, there is a problem, we need to address it, now that Trump has come out and said that we're going to permanently pause migration from third world countries, they're going to come out of the woodworks now and say, no, we need more migrants to come here because diversity is our strength and blah, 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 insert random silly buzzwords. Liberals supporting third world migration makes about as much sense as roaches supporting Raid and chickens supporting KFC. This person should not have been here, but he was brought in under the Biden years because Alejandro Mayorkas left our border wide open. And now we're dealing with the consequences that we're going to continue to see more tragedies, unfortunately, because of what the last administration did. But you're going to see so many people now who are going to say, oh, well, you shouldn't look at all individuals who come from Muslim countries as a threat. You shouldn't say that they're all the same or think that they're all the same or all harbor violent intent, right? But then they're the first ones who also turn around and say, oh, yeah, all Trump supporters are racist, xenophobic, and Nazi white supremacist bigots. They don't even see the irony in that statement. And the fact that them supporting these countries literally is self-defeating, because if many of these individuals who are LGBTQ but also support Middle Eastern countries, if they were to go over to these same countries they stand up for so vehemently, they'd be the first ones to get tossed off of a building, because that's what they do with people over there. But you're going to see them now come out of the woodworks and say, oh, well, yeah, I want a virtue signal and show how good I am, so I'm not going to acknowledge there's a problem that my administration caused because I can't acknowledge reality for what it is. And that's just the God's honest truth. I'm here to give it to you straight, no chaser, even if you don't like it, but that is the facts as they stand. And mark my words, this is what you're going to see take place in the future.
And that was from an account called The Damien Fielder. Back in a minute. Thank you. Now a little bit of Bishop Barron.
Hi, Bishop Barron. My name is Larry Fleury from Bentonville, Arkansas. Why did Jesus show up when he did roughly 2,000 years ago and not at a different point in time?
Well, here's a quick answer. He came when the preparation was done. Think of the Old Testament as an elaborate preparation for the incarnation. So God is preparing this ultimate rescue operation, which is the incarnation, and he prepares for it over many, many centuries, calling Abraham and then the whole history of Israel, involving covenant and Torah, prophecy, temple, sacrifice, all of that designed to prepare a people to receive his revelation. You might say he...
And so the interesting thing here to note is that the individual it's called, because this was done on the phone, that he doesn't identify himself other than say where he's from. So he could be it's not the typical question that a Christian would ask. So I suspect that the individual is a non-Christian asking this question, and probably asking the question because he wants to hurt or destroy the faith of Christians, including Bishop Barron. The best thing that Bishop Barron could do in this situation for anybody that gives him a call is the first question out of his mouth should be, are you a Catholic? And if the answer is no, point them to confirmation classes. Tell them where they can get confirmation classes in their area, or tell them to Google it and get confirmation, and then move on to the next caller. But if it is a Christian person, then you might want to go ahead and answer it. But it's an odd question. Why would any Christian and a confirmed Catholic care why it is that Jesus showed up 2,000 instead of, say, 3,000 or 1,000 years ago? Who cares? What difference does it make? And I think that's actually a better answer than what Bishop Barron gave. What difference does it make? The point is, Jesus Christ died for your sins, and if you accept him as your Lord and Savior, you'll have everlasting life. Back in a minute. Thank you. And now, the collapse of parenting.
Who pursued their own self-interest relentlessly and without apology. When I looked at those novels again as an adult, I noticed that not one of the major protagonists was the parent of a child. Rand herself never raised a child. Such a phase can be a normal part of adolescence, part and parcel of the relentless egocentrism of the young. But as you mature into adulthood, and certainly when you become a parent, you realize that the world is and should be bigger than you are.
Okay, so I want to interrupt real quick in saying his whole tirade about Ayn Rand is off base, like most are. If you're going to read Ayn Rand, skip the fiction stuff. Skip her stuff on Fountainhead and Atlas Shrugged. Save all that stuff for last. Do her non-fiction works. That really explains to you what she's really all about. Back to the book.
It's not about you. And once you realize that and accept that gratefully, you can breathe a sigh of relief. Think back to Aaron and Julia, the two kids whose stories I shared in the chapter on fragility. Aaron was the gamer who gave up on football after just one day of tryouts. Julia was the star student whose self-concept crumbled when she struggled to understand AP physics. Think how different their experiences might have been if their parents had taught them something about humility beforehand, freed from the pressure to be the greatest and comfortable with being just okay. Aaron might have learned to persevere, might have gotten in shape, might have made the team, which in turn might have grounded his self-concept in something more real than the world of video games. Julia might have crafted a self-concept which was more mature, less about her personal awesomeness. She might also have gotten closer to figuring out whether she was taking AP Physics as a junior because of a genuine interest in physics or because she wanted to impress people by taking AP Physics as a junior. In every era and in every culture, warnings abound regarding the errors to which that culture is least prone. In puritanical eras, pastors preach about the dangers of indulging the flesh, when perhaps they should be talking more about the dangers of self-righteous asceticism. In indulgent eras, like our own, TV talk show hosts warn about the dangers of Puritanism, when it might be more helpful to acknowledge the risks of giving in to every impulse.
And that's, again, where he's missing the point, and that's liberalism. He's failing to distinguish between conservative and normal parents and those that are liberal and permissive.
Feels good, do it, without considering long-term consequences. In our era of walk tall and stand proud, it takes courage to teach humility, and it won't earn you any friends.
And again, the walk tall, stand proud is false pride. That's what kids are being taught. That's why they have having the issues. that's what liberal kids are being taught by liberal parents and liberal teachers, is false pride. And it's being taught because liberals in our society claim that the reason that we have people in prison and so many people in prison is because of low self-esteem, that's the root cause of their offending, is the fact that they have low self-esteem. So the idea is to boost children's self-esteem, and then if you do that, then they won't become criminals, and we won't need a criminal justice system. But it's not true.
How do you do it? How do you teach your kid to walk humbly in an era when every other parent you know is trying to boost their kids' self-esteem? I think the answer begins early, in the first 2 years of life. Many parents tasked with the challenge of preparing supper with a toddler in the home tend to put the toddler in a safe place where the child can play with toys or watch a screen out of harm's way. But that sends an unintended message to the child. Your job is to play, while mommy and daddy's job is to make supper for you. And this pattern continues year after year. Then, maybe around 8 years of age, the parent invites the child into the kitchen to help prepare supper. The child refuses, even throws a tantrum when the parent goes to turn off the video game. No surprise there. The child has had 8 years to learn that it's the parent's job to do the chores and prepare the meals while the child plays. Once that rule has been enforced for 8 years, a speech about how now you're old enough to help around the house is unlikely to change the child's ingrained understanding of the world. It will seem unfair and just plain wrong to the child to upend the rule, which has been one of the foundations of life for the past 8 years, for the child's entire life, which is, I play while mommy and daddy make supper. Don't let that rule creep into your home. When your child is 6 months of age, get a front-facing papoose and carry your baby around the kitchen as you prepare supper. Talk to your child as you work. Explain what you are doing and why. Now I need to chop these onions. Next, I have to get a head of lettuce out of the refrigerator. Anthropologist David Lancy has found that around 18 months of age, almost all toddlers around the world want to help their parents.
Do we really need an anthropologist to tell us how to raise children? For that matter, do we really need Dr. Leonard Sachs to do it? What we should be doing is, if we have questions or issues about raising children, we should talk to our parents and our extended family, parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, etc. We go to the professionals as an absolute last resort.
And in most societies outside the developed West, the parents integrate the young ones into the work that is required to keep the household running. In most families that have ever lived across time and in different places, young children want to help in the house, and their help is welcomed. And in those families, the unspoken rule is not, I play while mommy and daddy do all the chores, but rather, I am part of the household. I help mommy and daddy with the chores. Lancy and other researchers found that in traditional societies that have always followed this practice, kids of every age pitch in and help with every aspect of household life, preparing and serving meals, cleaning the house, making repairs. They don't have to be asked. They see what needs to be done, and they do it. And they don't expect to be paid for doing it. Granted, it's not easy to do that with an 18-month-old. You will need to plan meals that a toddler can help with. Some of the ideas that I have used or that I have learned from other parents include peeling the husks off fresh ears of corn, tearing a head of lettuce into little pieces for salad, mashing up chickpeas with a potato masher to make homemade hummus, or mashing bananas to make banana bread, stamping out cookie dough with a cookie cutter. Learning towers are available to help your 2-year-old work alongside you at the kitchen counter. A learning tower is basically a step stool with a crib-like structure so that a 2-year-old can safely stand alongside you without falling. This really works in families that have employed these strategies. Parents tell me that their 4-year-old is chomping at the bit to help prepare the meal. The 11-year-old is making his own lunch for school. And the 15-year-old is washing the dishes after supper without being asked. As kids get older, I find that some parents prioritize their kids' academic achievement and sometimes their athletic achievement above everything else. As one mother said to me, "My daughter's job is school. We can afford to hire a housekeeper. She's doing so many activities, and she has so much homework. We don't want her to waste what little free time she has doing household chores. Her job is school." That parent is sending an unintended message. Your time is too important to be wasted on chores, which easily morphs into you are too important to be bothered with chores. It's the very opposite of teaching humility. That unintended message puffs up the bloated self-esteem and narcissism which now characterize many kids. Don't send that message. Insist that your kids make their beds, wash the dishes, mow the lawn, feed the pets, set the table, do the vacuuming. I have previously mentioned the late Bill Phillips, his wife Janet, and their 4 sons. Bill Phillips was a prosperous businessman and, separately and simultaneously, a successful Washington lawyer and lobbyist. His family enjoyed an affluent lifestyle, but he and his wife insisted that their 4 sons devote several hours every week, most often on Sunday, to household maintenance. His oldest son, Andrew, explained it to me this way. Their usual Sunday morning routine was to go to church as a family. After church, they had brunch. After brunch, they changed into work clothes, and everyone went outside to do chores. The family's large estate near Potomac, Maryland, required lots of maintenance. It literally required an army to keep that place running, Andrew told me. Typically, there would be one major task for the day. I remember doing things like moving piles of brush, felling trees, removing bushes, rebuilding fences, cleaning and maintaining the pool, mulching, power washing, planting flowers, weeding, painting, cleaning vehicles, moving debris, weed whacking, replacing bricks from our walkway, etc. My dad had a hard-line policy of, if you're here on a Sunday, you're working. I remember several occasions where friends of ours would have spent the night, but they didn't, because they didn't want to have to do the chores the next day. My dad made it clear that having a friend over was not an excuse for missing work on Sunday. Frankly, it made for some awkward interactions with friends who were clearly less than excited at the prospect of spending 2 hours mulching before their parents picked them up. In fact, very few things would get you excused from Sunday chores. I have distinct memories of us all trying really hard to get out of stuff with, "But I have so much homework," and similar excuses. Janet and Bill could have afforded a landscaping service. Most of the families living on large estates around Potomac employ professional landscapers. Why didn't Janet and Bill just hire a landscaping crew? I posed that question to Janet. Here is her answer. It would have been easier for sure. Writing a check and leaving all that work to professionals would have been easier than leading the boys to do it. But I thought understanding the value of labor should be a major part of their upbringing, as it was for me. I grew up working every Sunday on a family project. Remember, I grew up in a small town in southwestern Minnesota. My dad was the local town lawyer. Every Sunday after church, our entire family would go into town. We lived on a small farm on the edge of town, and we'd pile into the family station wagon and head into Dad's small office. As a family, we cleaned his office. It never struck me as odd. I thought that's what all practical families did. But I hated it. Time to go to town would interrupt our usually great game of kick the can on our front field. I so hated this family ritual that once I hid in our chicken coop, hoping that Mom and Dad would think I was kidnapped and head into town with the rest of the crew and forget about me. No such luck. I learned that if you resisted, you got assigned the worst job, mopping the tile floor, which during mud season was torture. I was embarrassed that my friends would see us. I was worried that if Dad's clients saw us cleaning and not employing professionals, they'd think he wasn't a good lawyer. Eventually, my dad became a local judge, and I remember being so relieved we didn't have to clean the municipal building after he was elected. As I grew up, I realized what I learned from those Sunday afternoons together. First of all, I learned how to clean. That left me with a lifelong appreciation for clean spaces and those who keep them so.
And notice that what he's talking about here is exactly what I've described, where the parents that had him doing things on Sundays, where did they get that idea? They didn't get it from an anthropologist. They didn't get it from a medical doctor or a psychologist. They didn't get it from a psychiatrist. They got it from their parents.
I also remember thinking that our family could always survive if the world got turned upside down because we knew how to do things. My parents taught me not to rely on others unless it involved an electrical current. Our family Sundays were also the source of many, many of our favorite family stories. Because we were all together. I wanted my boys to know the same strength. Life is not so scary if you know how to do things, even simple things. I first met Beth Faird and her husband Jeff Jones and their children almost 30 years ago. Beth and her husband are just right parents, in my judgment, a judgment based on many years of observation in my role as both their family physician and their neighbor. Beth and Jeff are both strict and loving, and they are keen observers with real insight into what has happened in American culture, at least in suburban Maryland just outside Washington, D.C., where I practiced for 19 years. I met with Beth and her oldest daughter, Grace, to ask their thoughts about some of the issues I raise in this book. Grace told me, my parents taught me early on that I wasn't going to be the cool kid. And I didn't mind that much, because what really mattered to me most was not what other kids thought about me. What mattered to me most was what my parents thought about me. Beth chimed in. For an American girl to be cool nowadays means dressing in a provocative and inappropriate way, disrespecting your parents, and staying out late at night, none of which my girls were allowed to do. I asked Beth what her policy was about her kids doing chores. She explained that her kids started helping around the house at a very young age. Even as toddlers, they helped us. Dusting, for example. I would say, watch what I do. This will be your job. So that by the age of 4, they really can help with the dusting. There's no great mystery to this. What do other parents in the neighborhood think of your approach? I asked. Most of them don't approve, she said bluntly. Here's something that just happened recently. After my son's game, the other parents wanted all the kids to go out for pizza together. I said no. We can't go out for pizza because we have to go home and clean house. Clean the chicken coop. The Faird family has been raising chickens for many years, mostly for the eggs, which they eat. They have 12 chickens. The other parents said, oh, come on, Beth. Are you going to keep him from his friends? Don't you think you're being a little extreme? But these chores have to be done. The game was his leisure time. Different parents will differ on best practice here. Even some just right parents might think that Beth is being too strict in this situation. But I think Beth is teaching her kids an important lesson. The world doesn't revolve around you. You are a member of this family with obligations to this family, and those obligations are paramount. The actor Denzel Washington told a story which illustrates this point. I remember coming home one time and feeling full of myself and talking, did you imagine all this? I mean, I'm a star, he said. My mom said, first of all, you don't know how many people have been praying for you and for how long. So then she told me to get the bucket and the squeegee and clean the windows. In the chapter on screens, I wrote about how the world of social media pushes kids to promote themselves. Here I am at the party having a great time. Here I am getting dressed for the prom. Here I am sticking my finger up my nose. Here I am. Look at me. It's all about broadcasting and promoting the self. Now you can see the dangers of social media from a different perspective. One of our jobs as parents is to inculcate humility and gratitude and contentment and interest in other people while limiting the inborn tendency to promote oneself. Social media undercuts all that. I have encountered kids whose parents are trying to do everything right according to the guidelines laid out in this book. But the kids are still disrespectful, disengaged from parents, and defiant. Increasingly, I am finding that the root cause in these cases is the kids' involvement in social media. In 1912,
I'm going to stop it there. Look, the root cause again, he's obviously caught up in root cause BS, because that's what it is, BS. There is no root cause. People have free will. Root cause means that no one has free will. And if that's the case, then there's no point to his book. So that was the end of Chapter 10, Humility from the Collapse of Parenting by Leonard Sachs, MD, PhD. How we hurt our kids when we treat them like grown-ups. Actually, it should be how the liberals hurt their children and our society when they treat them like grown-ups. Back in a minute.